Thank you, Gary. The affiliated paid staff model, Paula von Kleydorff. Paula von Kleydorff is the program director of Carleton Willard at Home. She was involved as a consultant in the early organization of At Home and has been the program director since its opening 10 years ago. Carleton Willard at Home currently has 275 members and has had over 6,000 requests for services and currently serves 6 suburban towns surrounding Bedford. Prior to running Carleton Willard at Home, Paula ran several other nonprofit organizations, served as a trustee on a number of local boards, coached tennis, and taught skiing. When did you have time to do any work? She has 2 grown sons and lives in West Concord.
Okay. I don't have any slides because I figured that I was going right before lunch, and otherwise you were going to be looking up there or falling asleep or listening to your stomach grumble, so I thought you had to look at me to hear what I had to say. For those of you who don't know what Carleton Willard is, it is a continuing care retirement community. So that's independent living, assisted living, skilled nursing. And the way we got our genesis is about 12 years ago now, a resident who actually lived at Carleton Willard at the facility passed away and left a significant chunk of money to start an at-home program. She was aware of Beacon Hill Village, which was pretty new and getting going, and she thought, wow, this would be great. Carleton Willard knows a lot about the aging process. Wouldn't it be nice if they gave something back to the community and supported people who were not at the facility itself? And she recognized that, you know, retirement communities are not for everybody. Some people don't want to live in a community. Some people can't afford to go to a community. But Carleton Willard knew a lot about aging, so wouldn't it be nice? So that is how we got going. Luckily, it was a lot of money, so that's how we continue to be around. But at the same time, there was a real concern that here were these people at Carleton Willard who were paying a lot of money to be there, and here was this little upstart organization, and where are they going to start taking resources from Carleton Willard, and so forth and so on. So we were set up as our own nonprofit. We have our own 501c3. We have a separate board of directors, but we have a few people from the board of directors for Carleton Willard. So that is how it originally began, 2 very separate sort of things. But 10 years later, we're in quite a different place. When we first looked at what we wanted to do programmatically, we were a Beacon Hill mini-me. We worked with them, we looked at what they were doing, we said, oh, that's what we're going to do. We're going to have service providers. We still do have service providers. We're going to have some social activities. We still do, but they're very different now. And then we looked at the fact that we were suburban, they were urban, and we thought, oh, what's the biggest thing? I don't know where you all live, but where we are, there's no transportation. It's gotten better now. There's Uber, there's Lyft, and various things, but there was nothing. So Carleton Willard made a decision that we would really offer a very extensive transportation policy. I have 1 full-time driver, 2 part-time drivers, 2 cars. And when we get really busy, I drive as well. And we do an enormous amount of medical transportation. We started doing all kinds, but we just didn't have the resources, so we do medical transportation. We still do the service providers. And the other big thing that we added in our original part when we started to become more integrated with Carleton Willard is we have a food delivery program. We call it Gourmet to Go. And the way it works is that these are the meals that are served at Carleton Willard in our main dining room, and we are known for having very lovely food. So if you get our menu and you look at what's coming to your house, we have chicken piccata and swordfish with sauce and rack of lamb. It's not Meals on Wheels. And we arranged with the kitchen at Carleton Willard. We have a very specific system that we work out. They cook the meals for us. They put them in a special flash freezing machine. They are packaged up individually. And every Tuesday afternoon, we all head out in our cars to deliver them. And we deliver about 75 meals a week to our 6 towns. It's a fairly extensive activity. The meals are $10. You really, if I could get them, I would get them myself. Sometimes I order extras and bring them home because it's a great deal. And we find for people who don't want to cook anymore or can't cook anymore or just want to have some in the freezer, it's been an enormous recruitment for us. It's been an enormous success for us. And that is one of the things that we do that would not possibly be able to be done without the support of the kitchen at Carleton Willard. And as I mentioned, so we've integrated over time. We've gotten closer and closer in terms of how we utilize their services and what we do for them. We were never intended to be a marketing tool for the village, and most of my 275 people will never want to go to Carleton Willard, or they can't afford to go to Carleton Willard. But what we have been able to do is allow them to access Carleton Willard in ways that we never envisioned. So beside the food program, which comes to their house, our members now can come to Carleton Willard and use the swimming pool. They can come to Carleton Willard and have lunch. They can come to almost all of the events and activities that take place at Carleton Willard. They can use our new spa. Unfortunately, I am not allowed to use it, but they are allowed to use it. I thought I should be able to test all the services first, but that didn't work out. They can ride the van to Symphony. They can ride the van to the local theaters. They do have to come to Carleton Willard, and we are in the process now, because we don't do non-medical driving, of looking at setting up maybe an Uber or a Lyft concierge service where we can bring our people to Carleton Willard, and then they can then hop on the van or whatever there. So there are all of these things that they can come and use, and yet they still get all the support at home, and they still get to be independent, but they have a community that they can be part of if they choose to. And what we have found is that the residents who live at Carleton Willard, instead of being like, oh, who are these people? They're all excited because this is their home. They love having people come in. They love meeting new people. And inevitably, some people do move to Carleton Willard. So there's a win-win on both sides of the equation. If you want to start to think about how a relationship with the CCRC might work, and the pros and the cons are these. The pros are, for me, we get an enormous amount of financial support. They continue through this bequest to support the gap in our operating budget. So I don't have to do what most everybody or my colleagues here have to do, which is go out and fundraise the gap every year, which is lovely. The other pro is, of course, that I don't have to create the same level of programming. Our staff is very small. There's me, my full-time driver, and one person who does our meal program, and 2 drivers. So I get all of this marvelous programming and so forth without having to do quite so much of the work for it. The other pro is that, as Laura mentioned, not everybody can stay at home. And so our members are able to access the further, not the independent part of the community, but the skilled nursing and the assisted living. Our at-home members get preferential admission for that. So for a number of our people, they become part of Carleton Willard at Home because they want that access for end-of-life care if they need it. So we can offer that to them. So these are all the really positive things. On the negative side, we are not a vibrant membership organization. Everybody that you guys all talked about, people, the board, and people being involved and being on committees and everything, we don't operate that way. We are much more service driven. Our members, they're paying for a service, and they're paying for access, and they're paying for all these things, but they do not feel that they belong to a grassroots, go out and change the world kind of organization. And it took us a number of years to figure that out, and not continue to be the mini-me quite so much, and realize that we were different. And I was delighted to hear that Laura mentioned that when we first started and everything, I would come to the conferences in the Village National Conference, and I was kind of like the pariah in the room because I was affiliated with a retirement community. But we've all recognized over the time that everybody's different and everybody needs different supports, and we're all really trying to do the same thing, which is help people age comfortably and gracefully and effectively, and it's just a different way of doing it. So there you go. I didn't even get to the red flag.